Well, it appears Zack Snyder set off some fireworks for the 4th of July. Well, first of all, he teased this image on his Vero account of Batman in the nightmare gear. And this was amidst the time when you're hearing a lot about the possibility of Ben Affleck returning to the role, possibly even to complete his Batman versus Deathstroke film for HBO Max, and that would just be glorious. But I don't think it's as surprising that he might return to shoot additional footage for Zack Snyder's production here. And especially since it's not going to be the cut you thought it would be. And there's been evidence of this, discussed it in other videos, and everybody else has too, and all that. And a lot of this wasn't all that surprising, and it's pretty much confirmation of a lot of stuff people just assumed here. I say confirmation. I mean, some of the answers he did in this Q&A on his Vero account was the little winking emoji. Yeah, but so some of the details. Pretty simple. You know you're going to get Green Lantern. That was that's been talked about quite a bit, that there was supposed to be this scene in it where the Green Lanterns appear to Bruce Wayne at his little lake house there, and he would be Bruce. I did this little mock-up here with Ryan Reynolds in this other version, obviously, because I don't know what the what the Green Lantern would look like in Zack Snyder's world, so I might redesign the suit rather than the one he wore, or didn't really wear anything. It was all CGI, but in the Green Lantern film. And it would be Bruce Wayne, not actual Batman. I don't think he was going to be in his get-up or anything. I think he was asleep, and he wakes up, and there's, and it was more than one Green Lantern and all that. So I think that one got a wink when someone asked about it. I don't know that he, I can't recall if he, gave some ammunition to the possibility that Ryan Reynolds would reprise the role. But there's Green Lanterns in the film, and not just the history lesson part. So, you get that. And then the other thing, and this is one of the things that's always been discussed, and was Steppenwolf. And, of course, at the end of the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, which is the only version to watch, and it is now available on HBO Max, and boy, that's quite the primer for what they're bringing next year. So so you want to watch that version. But it has that scene that was cut of revealing Steppenwolf to Lex Luthor in the Kryptonian ship. And, well, he didn't look like the Steppenwolf you saw in the theatrical release. No. Well, they wanted that toned down. And there is some, I'm assuming it's still available somewhere on YouTube, of the sort of animatic or unfinished CGI version of Steppenwolf battling with Aquaman and the Atlanteans and all that. And that looks very much like the original design. It's not the one you saw in the movie. And then, of course, they swapped that out for this. It appears that the history lesson, Steppenwolf was swapped in. I'm guessing he had no part in that now. I don't know. For Darkseid, that was supposed to, and certainly in the middle of the ships and everything, that was Darkseid, not Steppenwolf, but that's how they changed it. So with this version, of course, that's what you saw in the Joss Whedon version, but now we know that some of the other teases of the extra footage that was in Zack Snyder's cut, which was the running time of 2:14, that one is the which he now refers to as the compromised. That's because he was doing reshoots up to the point of when he left the project and Joss Whedon took over. You never really got to see that version. I kind of want to see that one too. I want to see, obviously, his completed version, and this is the deal where, and I think it might have been some of the stumbling blocks early on, that he's like, yeah, I'm not interested in completing that after everything that happened, and, they did him wrong, and he was not in any mood to complete this one. The overall plot of that one is probably very similar to the Joss Whedon version. It just doesn't have a lot, probably doesn't, it's probably better. It just doesn't have the stupid stuff in it. So, but it would have that version of Steppenwolf, and these were some of the scenes where Steppenwolf kills Cyborg's father, all that sort of stuff, and that's why it's longer. It's longer than the wanting it to be 2 hours or under 2 hours. What that Warner wanted, but that was a compromise that he was working on up to the moment that he left, and then Joss Whedon comes in under the lie that he was just completing Zack Snyder's notes and whatnot. No, that was an entirely different film, and that's what he was ordered to do because even the compromised version appears to have been some of the background work with Jeff Johns coming in, and Jeff Johns, because DC, the Snyder films didn't make Marvel money, and they began to panic and worry, and at the 11th hour on this film tried to change it, which you cannot do, but they tried to do anyway, and wanted to change the entire tone and look and whatnot of their DCEU, and Joss Whedon comes in, hey, I can be your Kevin Feige, and that's what he wanted to do, and he's kind of trying to do what they wanted, and he took advantage of this, and you can argue about whether he shouldn't, and he couldn't orchestrate everything, but he is getting the brunt of the vitriol and hatred over what happened, and but nobody, Zack Snyder knows, of course, and other people involved in it, but I don't. And I just don't know what to say. I liked Jeff Johns' comic book work, but I think he became under the thrall of the lure of Hollywood and all of that, and thought this was his big chance, and probably burned a lot of bridges as a result. And that's that. His name does appear on a lot of projects, as but he gets that executive producer check and whatnot. But I don't think he has a future in Hollywood as of now. Maybe some things will change later with different people. But I still don't see him as quite the villain. I don't even see Joss Whedon as the villain overall in this. He came in for the job. I do believe that he is quite the a-hole, and so the Ray Fisher story is probably more or less true, and all that stuff. And he's quite the hypocrite on, he was a super feminist and all that type of stuff. But that's all that other story. Neither here nor there. When it comes to Justice League, ultimately, it's the Warner Brothers. They were calling the shots, and they did this, and they, and Jeff Johns said, yeah, I'm the guy who can fix it. I'm a comic book guy. I know how to make it, and all this. But it was too late at the time to do something like that. If they wanted to scrap everything and then give it a year or so, and then Jeff Johns builds up something else, I don't know. It might have worked. But like this, no, it couldn't. So back to the point. None of this was in Zack Snyder's stuff. Just the point that he said that version, that cut, was the compromised one. How finished is it? It's probably a lot more finished than people realize, than what we're getting, where he wants to go back to the original story. And at this point, he wants to go all the way back to the original script that he and Terrio came up with. And right at the outset, Warner's rejected it. Now, rejecting it at that point, that's fine in the sense of a production and how you want things to go. You don't try to reject it at the 11th hour, which is what they did, based on what he did produce, which was, this different version. He tried to work with him. He tried this and that. At this point, he's like, no, it's this or nothing, and probably it was going for nothing. And then, things change, don't they? Because, there's this market out there, and AT&T says, hey, you need to start making some money. And I'm not seeing much excitement with what else he got going on. So, and of course, for the streaming service to work right now, the launch was not that great, and they can't get it off the ground just yet because of everything that's going on, and also next year is the earliest they can get it, and so that's a problem for them, And but hopefully it can save the day. So, what do you get for the real version? You get monster stiff and full. So redoing it where you take out the theatrical version of Steppenwolf and you put back in this monster who looks nothing like the comic book version. They did change the Steppenwolf a little bit for the New 52, where he had that helmet with the horns, and so actually the other version, the revived, compromised version, is a little bit closer to that. The actual look was Steppenwolf was kind of a medieval looking outfit, and he was all green and everything. And then Jack Kirby redesigning for the Superpowers campaign in the 80s, and that was about it. He never looked anything like this, but, you know, it's the movies. You want monsters, and he's supposed to be this, you know, scary god from another dimension and whatnot. So it kind of fits the bill looking like that. So, and that's the concept I already wanted, and that's what they went through. I guess Warner's rejected it and wanted him more, you know, closer to, I get, just a guy, I guess. I don't know. Plus, he had the gray skin. I guess that was supposed to look like Darkseid. But the problem there is they didn't want the sequel with Darkseid. They didn't want Darkseid in the movie or anything like that. They were just, well, we want to do something else with new guys. But Steppenwolf was there. They were kind of stuck with it. If they could have made an entirely different villain, they would have, but you couldn't. Guess why? It's 11th hour. It was too late to do what you wanted to do. You know, you made your decision. Zack Snyder did his work. You needed to just complete what Zack Snyder started. That's, you know, that's the way it goes. But I don't know. Maybe it's going to be more of a success now in the way that it's going to get released instead of how, well, you know, who knows. But there again, Zack, he's not really backing this 214 version, you know, he's backing the original. That's what he wanted. So anyway, yeah, you get the monster Steppenwolf. And of course, Superman's black suit that will appear, and there'll be a narrative there as to why it's this way. Now, of course, in the original thing when Superman resurrects, the black suit helped him absorb solar radiation faster and better to restore his powers and this sort of thing. Maybe that's the same thing, I don't know, but it's probably more of a narrative of he's come back from the dead and he's, you know, got to come back to being who he's supposed to be and that sort of thing. And the whole narrative of Superman learning and becoming the Superman that you know from the comic books of the classic Superman was supposed to be the deal. And that's Man of Steel clearly sets that up, that he's his freshman superhero, and he grows as we go. And I'm sure that in the narratives of the story, that's probably how that plays out in a symbolic fashion of why he's in that suit and all that. So that, yeah, Zack Snyder will get his vision. He's, you know, there will be no compromises. This is it. He's in total control of it. And the risk is, oh God, what if it's terrible? You know, it's all him at that point. But, you know, I like a lot of Zack Snyder's films. I absolutely love Dawn of the Dead. I like 300. I liked his Watchmen take. I've enjoyed his DC films. I see them as flawed here and there. Man of Steel, in a lot of ways, I think is probably superior to Batman vs. Superman, but Batman vs. Superman just has so much to it. And for DC Comics and whatnot, and that's where the bent I'm coming from, there's a lot there for me to enjoy. I still see it as flawed, but I would rather see, if we're going to see a sequel to that or a Justice League film, it needs to follow that tone and the storylines and the narratives that it presented. And that's, you know, and of course I just want to see the thing. And after everything that's happened, it's really great to going to get that opportunity. But the mystery still abounds. You know, you don't quite know all of it. There's only been little tidbits here and there. And he said, you know, you've only seen the tip of the iceberg. So there's a whole lot more. And at this point, I'm really hoping they do go with the miniseries format for this. I would like to see that. And maybe they should continue with that, even with Ben Affleck's project, if they give him one. And that's what the Deathstroke thing becomes. To go more, do they want to differentiate it from the Batman film that Matt Reeves is coming out with, if there are theaters for it to go to, that it's in that format, and then whatever, Batman versus Deathstroke, whatever they call it, Ben Affleck's Batman, would be this sort of miniseries that ties in with the Snyderverse version, the DCEU, of telling that story. And hopefully, just hopefully, there's also a Superman film, a Man of Steel 2, that also continues this. And it all comes back together for sequels. And with the investment in all this, and of course it has to pay off, that I think it's more than likely that not only is Snyder going to complete the initial Justice League storyline, but it will continue to the two sequels that were supposed to follow, the Justice League 2 and 3. Justice League 2 involving them invading Apocalypse and battling Darkseid, losing, and then showing how they resolved the Nightmare World in the third film, and with a different outcome through the Flash's ability to travel through time and all that. So, basically just confirming things that you kind of already knew, but it's cool to do that and stuff, and a nice little treat for the 4th of July from Zack Snyder. And boy, I tell you, it's 2021 for a lot of reasons, but this is one of them. Can't get here fast enough. So if we can finally see this thing, and boy, the hype is, boy, I tell you, you really got a lot more hype to live up to now, which could be detrimental, could be unfair, but well, it is what it is. So we'll see that, and hopefully it does lead to other things. I do want to see another Superman film with Henry Cavill, and boy, oh boy, do I want to see Ben Affleck's Batman back in action, and not just to finish up Zack Snyder's Justice League films, but also his own film. So anyway, there you go, my little thoughts on a little entertainment that Zack Snyder provided for the 4th of July.
All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores and have plenty of goodies for you. You know, hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to IndiePlanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.